Hola,
How's
hello
everybody doing?
everybody.
Oh,
They're doing great.
always doing great.
We know our followers and fans are always great because you're super fantastic, awesome, amazing, loved and beautiful and all that great stuff, right?
Yes. We're coming to you here this evening to bring you a little tidbit of information we've been promising you for a while.
The moment you've been waiting for.
Oh, yeah. No, it's just a little bit of our life experiences, and what other troubles that we've went through and what we've had, and I'm going to go ahead and start out with this information. And I know as all of you may have seen this scar on my neck, and people are all like, "Ooh, what's going on there?" I mean, I get that look a lot,
Especially here in Fiji.
Oh my goodness, all
what?
the kids.
Are you sick? What's that? They don't even care to ask. What is that? What's wrong with you?
Yeah, what's going on? You're a sick
comical.
person, aren't you? Yeah, but no, I got this. I had a car accident. This is 1 week after I graduated high school. I was a really good athlete. I had a full ride scholarship to go play at this, Division I junior college. And I was so excited. I did nothing but played ball all my life, and I was really good at it. Well, a week after high school, I decided to take this meander down this road in a friend's girlfriend's car that was really amazing. It was a GTO, right? LS2 engine in it. It was a 2006 GTO. And I got in the car and I took it down the road about a mile with a buddy of mine, Stephen Wallace, and turned around and came back. And on the way back, we were coming up this hill, and I was going about 140 miles an hour, and got up the hill, on the top of the hill, and didn't see that corner and slid off the road a little bit and jerked it and overcorrected, flipped it end for end into the trees, right? And I had spun in my seatbelt 3 complete times. Thank God I had my seatbelt on. If it wouldn't have been for Steven, I wouldn't have had my seatbelt on. But that's a whole nother story, right? Okay, so I had spun in my seatbelt 3 complete times in my seat, so I was constricted to the car. I don't have any bone in this arm from my shoulder to my elbow. This is all a titanium rod. Okay, and I broke my neck in 3 places and both my lungs collapsed. My arm went out the window whenever we were flipping and turning and stuff, so then the car rolled over on it. So I was unconscious at that point whenever we were, had the wreck. And I was unconscious for 2 months straight. I was in a coma for 2 months, right? I had a severe traumatic brain injury, TBI, fourth cranial nerve damage around the back of the eyes. I myself had to relearn how to walk, talk, breathe, go to the bathroom. I started over again, right? And I cannot tell you, they've seen this injury 9 times in Springfield, Missouri, and Cox South, and that hospital's been there for many years. And out of those 9, 1 guy has ever lived, and he was a vegetable for the rest of his life, okay? Now, I was 18, my age had a good factor to play, they said, and when I was in the coma 2 months later, we had a huge prayer service, right? God saved my life. That's why I'm here. That's why you're here. That's why people do what they do. I don't care who you are. I don't care what you believe in. That is a fact, okay? And that is why you are alive, right? We're all here to do the same thing, spread the good news. But anyways, after that prayer service, I woke up. The very next day, my toe moved, right? So it's like, oh my gosh, this kid's gonna live. What's going on? So they got me all out of there. I had a year of rehab, and I played college baseball for 3 years after that. I had a full 110% recovery thanks to the good Lord, and I'm here to tell you, not only that helped me a lot, but after I started eating right and better food, holy cow, that's really opened my eyes to everything. I had a gallbladder surgery
before he met me.
Before I met her, later on, I had pancreatitis,
mess.
right? I was eating junk and had one of my stones stuck in my bile duct in my gallbladder, and it backed up into my system. So I was puking blood. I was going to the bathroom, blood. It was just not good. So we had to have emergency gallbladder surgery, and it was not good. My enzymes were up 1,500 through the roof, and it was, people die from that even, So I was like, holy cow. Well, then after I got done with that, I ran into some lovely lady, and she said, ever since then I've been not eating toxic food, eating more of an organic diet, and I cannot tell you the difference. What happened is I was about 200, 220, not 220, but I was getting up there, pretty heavy, and when I started eating that organic food, I dropped down to like 160. I'm going, holy cow, that's all skin and bone. I don't like this at all. This is not good. But then I just kept eating. Then we switched to a vegan diet. I've had nothing but plants and the good food, that God provides for us. and I'm up to 187. I'm back to my
He's
normal fighting weight.
gained over
So
20 pounds.
you know,
Once his body got to where it needed to be and got all the toxins out, his body did what it needed to do.
perfect.
And it's still doing that.
And it's just, you know, I've never had so much energy. I sleep better than anything I have. It's just amazing. And you see life a lot better when you start eating the right food that God has put here for us to eat.
Exactly. And so, babe, didn't you have some downfalls in your life? I mean, how are you always so happy? You had a lot of obstacles in your life to overcome.
Yeah, but the thing of it is, you have a choice. You can choose to be happy or don't choose one. There's not much, I mean, that's it. There's no other, I mean, you have the ability, you do in yourself, to make that observation, perceive things the way that you want to. And guess what? Even if it's not a happy thing or if it's not meant for good, you can perceive it as being good. And guess what? Most of the time it turns out to be better than what it was before. I mean, it's so simple that, you know, people can't wrap their heads around it. But you will learn a lot more the more you stay with us. And
Exactly.
don't you have a story to tell about?
I have a few
your
stories to tell about detriments and downfalls. And just like Jonathan said, life is so simple, but humans make it so freaking complicated.
Because you feel like you got to be the best and the top of the world and all.
Right.
Why? I mean, we're not fighting. We're not racing nobody. This is not a
Right.
competition. We're all here to live and do the same thing. Help one another out. Okay.
Exactly. Sure, it's fun doing different competitions.
Oh,
sure,
yeah, I'm
it's
not saying
fun
competition's not
having
fun, but
certain
yeah.
wins and stuff. But the game of life is just that. Think of it as a game. But which side of the board are you going to be on? The winner side or the losing side?
Right. Exactly.
I choose the winner side no matter
Every
what.
time.
It may not look like I'm a winner, but I am a winner in my own mind and in my own heart and by God. So there is so much to life and so many perceptions and perspectives that you can put on life. And until you understand what life is about, then you may not really understand how to cope with the happenings that happen to you in your life. So I'll sum this up as quickly as I can because my stories are quite long. And as I've mentioned before, all my friends love hearing my crazy, unbelievable stories because they're like, well, Lynette, you got any more stories for me now? Because all your stories make me feel so great about myself and so great about my life that I don't even have a bad life at all because my stories are so detrimental. So we'll start off from, I won't give you all the gory details, but I had a mother. She's still in existence somewhere, but she was not the best of moms. Did she abuse me on my face and on my body for physical showing? No. She mentally abused me, as well as she literally would tell me that she would never hit me in the face or harm me on the body because it would be too obvious. So that's the kind of mother that I grew up with.
And that's worse than physical abuse, just so you know. I mean, that's
oh my
something
goodness,
that
it's horrible.
just,
And
especially as a child, right? It puts things in your head that's just not good.
And I just remember thinking as a child, wow, this is not normal. A mother should not be talking to a child this way, and a mother would not do some of the things that she did to me. Like I said, she had very good parents, though, which protected me, and they didn't really know the detriments of her. And my dad, being the happiest guy in the world and the most positive thinker you could ever imagine, he always kept me grounded. Now, I always thought that he was a raving idiot, but that's, now I see that
Some people
absolutely
think
he was
that
not.
of us,
I was a little
but
girl. So anyway, I was brought up with a wicked mother, and I'll get to that story again in a moment. And so then I was stricken with a kidney failure at the ripe old age of 8 years old. Wasn't my fault, wasn't my choice. It was what I ate growing up. It was my parents' fault and my grandparents' fault, although not by willfully faulting, but by they didn't know the foods that we were all eating, which is why I lost my grandparents at an early age, and so on and so forth. But I had kidney surgery at age 8, and then I was in the hospital I didn't have a kidney transplant. It was some stupid surgery that they actually did to blotch up my entire body, and I had to live with detriments through the next 27 years. I was in and out of the hospital every single year, just like clockwork, being rushed to the emergency room, then being sent home, then put on IV, different kinds of fluids, just to get my kidneys stabilized. And they all thought it wasn't kidneys because I was too young. So that was going on for 27 years. And then, let's rewind those 27 years. Well, then I decided I'm going to marry the love of my life in high school, right? Okay, so I did. Married, hallelujah, everything's great. He was the greatest dad in the world, had 3 kids by him. And my oldest child was born with a detrimental disease in which we did not catch until he was 18 months old. And that entire story is on my website at fuelforthebody.net. Click on the blog section and you can scroll down through there and see wheezers are not always asthmatic. So click on that and read the full story there. But my son was born with a detrimental, uncurable disease in which he encountered 28 surgeries with 7 different surgeons and 2 near-death experiences, like literally almost dying right there before I could get him to the hospital. And one time he almost died while he was on the bed in our home. So I went through that with his nearly dying and all these surgeries where no doctors could cure him until, that's why I'm on the journey that I am on now, because of him and my kidney ailment once he did get cured. So on a happy note, he's disease-free,
Oh yeah, good job,
surgery-free,
Cody.
absolutely living the lifestyle of
Yes.
abundance and amazingness. He's an
Yes.
organic chef, walking the walk, talking the talk, and doing exactly everything that we are telling you to do, and living his dream and traveling the world himself as a yacht chef.
That's
So
right.
there is a happy ending to that. But we went through all of that. And then, but as I was going through all that, before we started going through that, remember that childhood sweetheart that I married? Well, we were together for 9 years, married for 5 of those years. And the last year and a half of those years, come to find out,
Might
he
have
wanted
been
2 wives instead of 1.
Maybe he just wanted to be a Mormon.
Well, maybe. I thought,
just
well,
kidding,
is
I'm
he
just
really
kidding.
Mormon? Not that we're knocking Mormons or
No,
anything like
not at
that.
all. I
Love
love
Mormons,
all my
love you all.
Mormon
But there are a
friends.
set of Mormons that believe in polygamy,
Yeah.
and we obviously did not. That was not something that we accepted. So therefore, he committed bigamy. He was married to this other person a whole year and a half before I knew it. I mean, I suspected
Wow.
some things, but never my wildest dreams. I was in college at that time that I found out I had 3 kids in college, had them in preschool, and just living my life as a in college stay-at-home mom, okay? And so I refused to believe anything because he provided for us very well. However, whenever I found that out, not only did I find out that he was living a double life, he was also married to the drug lord's daughter. And I'm not talking about your typical drug lords that are thugs in Chicago, Memphis, wherever. Yes, we were in Memphis, Tennessee at the time. And these were the big-time drug lords in which judges are involved, Mexican cartel is involved, and people in California are involved. I mean, these are the big people. Like, who would ever have thought that my husband would have been involved with that? But he was, and now he's moved on up the ranks. So anyway, was involved with that and spent 3.5 years of my life with no sleep. I literally didn't sleep. I had to do something. Obviously, I wasn't going to go to work to get my kids to stay with the babysitter, so I went to work at a preschool where they were, drove this preschool van, and I took naps during the day whenever the kids took naps. But I was up all night long trying to avenge this. And then everything just turned worse and worse and worse over a period of 3 years, from being raped, from having all of these thugs coming knocking on my door, threatening me with my life, or threatening to take my children. So there are certain things that you do as a mother to not lose your children and not have the most horrible thing you can imagine done. Like, if I'm killed, then where will my children go? You know, I was not going to have that. So from that to having all of these making threats on me, to the cops not believing me, telling me that I'm a crazy, deranged person, because they wouldn't go over there and arrest these people. So what did I do?
They were in.
I played vigilante. So I'm going all over God's green earth and all over Memphis to find out where these people lived, to find out who was who, where was where, and how this could possibly have happened. Long story short, we actually busted them because of me. They would have never busted them because they didn't want to, because some of the cops were involved with it. It was the largest drug bust in history on that side of America in 1994. Look it up. More people have looked it up, and they've come to me to ask me for help. I'm over that, been there, done that. So because of that, these people were sent back to California and to Mexico, and then my ex-husband was locked up. He was Baker acted, then he kept getting out. Then he was on the run for over, 25 years. No child support, nothing. I was raising my kids for 3 years all alone. And then other things happened, and still, whenever all of that happened, I was still living life happy. I refused to let that get the better of me. And my dad and I played vigilante. Oh my gosh, that's a whole nother story. I wish my dad was here to say, whenever we were literally getting shot at, the bullets were coming at us, we were driving a car, and my dad has never been scared in his entire life, except this one time he thought I literally got us killed. We thought we were dead. We thought we had been shot. But imagine having all that happen, having and I know a lot of you have, because if you're cops or if you're in the drug world or thug world or whatever, or if you're not, or if you're just working for Memphis Light, Gas, and Water, you might get shot at because I know Memphis. And I'm not making light or making fun of this, because these are real stories that happened to me. A detrimental mother, a crazy, deranged, psychotic, insane husband who led a double life, drug lords, rapists, my son nearly dying twice. At the same time that I'm doing this, he's still going through surgeries, okay? 3 years, I'm still getting my son surgery, still going from here to there, and still trying to make sense of everything that's going on. Then I lost my grandmother a year after all of that. She was going through cancer. This is before we knew that anything was, possible to heal them. This is before I turned all organic. So my grandmother was going through cancer, and she was as happy as a lark. She went through cancer very, very heroically. She was happy. She never got sick. She went through chemotherapy for 3 years. Never once did she get sick. She lost her hair. Oh, well, I guess I have to go get a wig now. Oh, gee, I always wanted a new hairstyle.
Right?
That's how she looked at it.
Yes,
and believe me, had she known
it.
what we knew now, oh my goodness, my grandmother would still be alive, because she would try everything that I am asking her to do. So anyway, going through cancer, going through an evil mother, going through a crazy, messed up marriage life, and then my son's disease, and gosh, there's so much more, but all of this I am telling you because not one time in all of those 20-something years. Now, there was one time that I was just like, gosh, I just need to quit and crawl in a hole. I mean, gosh, is it really, really worth it? But then I had these 3 children over here. I thought, if I give up, who's going to be here for them? Because their dad sure isn't there for them. It's not a dad, he's a sperm donor. So anyway, he's gone, out of the picture, completely gone, goodbye. Then he came back in the picture about 3 years ago, and that was a whole new ordeal. It was horrible. I left Mexico, went on another vigilante expedition to go apprehend him, and that certainly backfired in my face and caused some major destruction. So some of this I am going to tell you firsthand. I brought everything upon myself. Even my husband committing adultery, bigamy, and being a double life, I created that. Was it my fault? No, but I created that because first off, I married him. Well, first of all, I thought I fell in love with him. Secondly, I made the choice to marry him. Well, I reaped the benefits that he brought on after that. Did I cause my kidney failure? No, it was my grandparents and my parents. I'm not blaming them because they didn't know how toxic the food was. I grew up on Monsanto farmlands, which were very infiltrated in the early 70s with genetically modified organisms. And we'll be talking about that subject.
Not God-made only food.
Exactly, not the God-made only, which that's another subject. And the GMOs, genetically modified organisms, is a whole new subject that we'll be talking about. Click on my tab on GMOs and MSGs on thefuelforthebody.net, and you'll find more information about those 2 items. But I grew up on Monsanto farmlands, which we were infiltrated with glyphosate, which is the Roundup, with all of the weed killers, all of the pesticides and the herbicides. And so I ate that at a very young age. My grandparents and parents didn't start eating it until I started eating it, because that's when it came out, when I was 2, had my kidney failure at age 8. So all of this was decisions that I made, decisions that my parents made, decisions that my grandparents made. So we always say that everybody has a choice, except for children. Children don't have a choice. My son didn't have a choice of his disease. It was because of me that caused his disease, because of how toxic I was and what toxic whatever it is or toxic chaos that I put on him during birth, because 9 out of 10 children who are born with a viral disease, don't get it mixed up with anything else like limbs missing, but 9 out of 10 children that are born with a viral disease is the firstborn child. Why? Because whenever the mother has the first child, she is very either healthy or very unhealthy. For me, I was very unhealthy. I thought I was healthy except for my kidneys, but very unhealthy because of all the toxic foods that I ate. So therefore, when you have that first child, you pass on to that first child what was in your body. So it just infiltrates in them. And so there's no room for all that toxic infestation to get to the second or third or fourth or fifth children. So there is a little FYI for you. So I'm telling you all of this, and Jonathan is telling you all of this, that all of this chaos in our lives, all of the downfalls, the unbelievable, unthinkable episodes that has happened to us in our lives, and not one time did we give up.
No.
Not one
Thought
time.
about it a lot. I mean, I
It was
looked
a
over
thought that
and
crossed my mind.
looked over and saw the cords hooked. I mean, I had 28 tubes in my body, right? And there's not 28 holes, just so you know. You know, they had to go starting creating holes. And I looked over there and thought, man, you know, maybe these doctors are right. Maybe I should just lay in bed and never walk again. And because they told me, oh, don't think you're going to be doing anything else again, or you're not going to play ball or do any of that ever again. I said, man, I looked over there and I'm going, I'm going to just pull these cords out and just end it. You know, this is not worth it. But then I think God just slapped me in the head and goes, what are you thinking? You know?
You out of your mind? I'll put you out of your mind if that's what you want.
But no, and just staying positive, you know, and realizing that I have my family to look after, and you know, I'm just gonna live my life the right way. You know, there's the right way and a wrong way. There's the good and the bad, but there's also the neutral, right? There's also stuff that you got to take. Your perception when stuff comes to you and different things, you be like, just assess it and go, oh, okay. Well, I'm not gonna do it that way, but thank you for bringing it. You know, you can decide in life on which way you want to do things, right? And there's always two choices, right? Or 3 or 4, maybe more. You never know. But just make the right choice for you and the good one that does not detrimentally harm your body. That's it.
Exactly. And so we were letting you all know that no matter what you all have gone through, we've probably gone through it as well between the two of us. And I forgot to mention 2 other things. During all of that 20-year chaos, my brother was murdered.
Yeah.
So I went through that murder, which was horrible, and it turned out to be a really bad link to some really bad people. Then, just 3 years ago, my father was murdered. The happiest man on the planet, literally. He far exceeds us by any means as far as happiness. And the most anti-government, the most truther, the most American, steadfast, God-fearing person that you could ever imagine. And they caught him off guard because he knew, because he actually went to work with a lot of people. My dad went to some places that I will not discuss on here and I will not mention on here, but I will let you know that my dad went to some places that you can only imagine and that you've seen on YouTube channels. My dad has been there, and so they shut him up after he started speaking more freely whenever he shouldn't have, and he never used to do that. But I also healed my dad from strokes prior to his murder. He had a series of 5 strokes and one paralyzed him on the left side. They said he wouldn't be able to walk again, and maybe he might be able to talk. Within 8 weeks, my dad was up and walking and doing his computer work and everything else, because I refused to listen to that. And my dad refused to have that as his destiny as well. But his destiny was not his choice. It was his choice because he chose to start talking about it, and he chose to work for different powers that be. However, I went through that just 3 years ago. So from murders to drugs, to rapes, to crazy psychotic mothers, to crazy husbands, to almost death, to surgeries, to almost death, to my kidney. I do very well right now to keep myself off of dialysis, which I almost was on dialysis several years ago when I went totally in a different direction. But we keep ourselves very healthy, and not one time did I just want to completely kill myself. Some of those thoughts crossed my head, but when I was working in the preschool, I remember I was walking, because I always loved to be around kids. I always loved to make my own happiness and to teach my kids to do the same. And so I was always had a smile on my face, and one of the teachers came in, and she was always observing me, and she's like, how in the world, because I'd just gone through all of this craziness with my husband, and I was still going through all of that. I hadn't even finished going through it. I was still going through it. It was crazy, and going through all those rapes and everything else. And she looked at me, and she's like, how are you so happy? How can you even put a smile on your face? How can you even stand to be around kids or anybody? Why are you so happy? And I just looked at her and I said, and she was not a mean person. She was not a very unhappy person herself. She really wasn't. But I just looked at her and I said, because I want to be. And because that's what my dad has taught me and my grandmother has taught me, and because if I'm going to not be happy, then my kids will be unhappy, and if I choose the other route, then I'm just going to go kill myself, and that's not an option. I said my option is to look up, because when you're flat on your back, you have only one way to look, and that's what I did. So between this guy and myself, whenever you are over there saying, but I can't, I don't have the money, I don't have the means, my health is like this, I don't know how to do this. Why?
Because you keep saying that. And you believe it. You've talked yourself into it.
Exactly.
And then you become a settler, and you're okay with that. And you're alright with doing your old routine and your stuff that is not getting you anywhere in life. Come join us.
Come join us to the happy side, because no matter what is going on in your life, from cancer to murders to victim to whatever you want to call it, abuse, whatever. Foster care, I did foster care. We had lots of foster children in our home, not at one time, just one at a time, but I know the foster world. I'm an associate or a liaison with Agape in Memphis. So you name it, we've been there in that lifestyle between the two of us. So let us help you to overcome your obstacles, to resculpt your body, mind, and spirit. Retrain your brain.
Period.
That's all it takes. Just a little bit of self-discipline and a choice.
Happiness and love, that's it.
That's right. And again, like we said in our YouTube video, be sure and click like on this video. Share it with the world. We want everybody to
like
know.
and subscribe. Come join us.
Subscribe to our YouTube station, which type in YouTube. Go on YouTube and type in The Art of Restoration.
Yep.
It should pull up. If it maybe pulls up one of our videos, click on that one video and then click subscribe. That way you will see all of the rest of our videos that we will be talking about. As
we already have a lot more
Oh
on
my
there.
goodness. We have so many discussions about
and
health.
They're so good.
About wealth, about manifestation, about the world happenings, about the government, about the CERN, you name it. We have all these topics to cover because we know what's going on in the world. We're not closing our eyes or sticking our head in the sand or happying it all away, but we know we've been there, we've done that, and we are going to teach you how to do the same thing all at the same time, creating and manifesting wealth so you can live the lifestyle that we do,
and
or
you can
in your own paradise.
Yes, and you can do it. You know why? Because you're awesome.
You're amazing.
You're beautiful.
And you are loved. From us to you, had the most abundant life ever. Because you can. And it's your choice.
Yes. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.